Hi everybody, I'm Ian Bird, and I write and speak about gifted education. I recorded the audio of my last keynote at the Tennessee State Gifted Conference, and I wanted to share part of it. This is about the last 20 minutes. It was a super fun crowd, I felt like it went well, and I'd love to know what you think. Feel free to email me or hit me up on Twitter. So our gifted kids we can't just define them as smart, but we also have to think about what are their social emotional characteristics. It can be more important even to understand that because it can unlock how to teach them better and how to challenge them. When gifted kids first start school, they tend to do very well. They come into school, they probably already know how to read, or they already know their numbers. They already know the things that are being taught. So, of course, they're going to excel early in school. If you keep getting 100% early in school, everybody starts to identify you as 100% kid. Right? Oh, you're the kid that always gets 100%. You're the smart kid. Students can identify themselves as the smart kid. Oh, I always get 100%. That's who I am. Teachers will start to identify this kid as the smart kid. They'll tell other teachers in the lounge, oh, you're going to get Susie next year. She's a smart kid. She gets 100% on everything. And other kids will spot this. They'll spot it very quickly. Ooh, the smart kid. Ooh, 100%. Ooh. It begins to become the student's identity at school. But there's something else going on here that is kind of invisible. And so it probably goes unnoticed and uncommented on. And that is that while achievement is at the top in these early years, there's also something that's very, very, very low. And that is that these kids are not working. It is like being impressed that you have solitaire on your computer. It's like, whoa, you got solitaire. Whoa, nice job. If you're continually praised for having solitaire on your computer, which came pre-installed, by the way, you'll begin to have a weird feeling about people's compliments because you did nothing to earn this. Like, you turned your computer on and solitaire was already there. These kids are constantly being praised and told, you're so smart, you're so smart, you're so smart, and it's stuff that they already just know. So our effort can be super, super low, and effort can be invisible. It's easy to see the achievement. 100%, you're so smart. Our students begin to equate things that are easy with being smart. So this is a bad equation. Eventually, things are going to get more difficult at some point. For some kids, it's 4th grade, they have to do more writing, or it's when they go to middle school, or when they go to college, or for me, it was when I graduated from college. Eventually, they're going to hit something where things are no longer easy, and we see achievement take a dip. Achievement did not go to 0, but it dropped a little bit. Do you know how kids react when 100% kid misses one on their quiz? It's like, oh, I thought you were smart. Oh, what happened? The smallest mistake becomes amplified. The teacher, without even realizing it, perpetuates this. They hand the test back and they're like, what happened? This is bad news. And then the test goes home. And the nuclear explosion happens. Oh, well, something must be wrong. We're going to go into school tomorrow and talk to your teacher. There's something happened here. This can't be right. This is the first time that the student has not excelled at something, and it is like the world has ended. What we don't see is that this might be also the first time that they had to work at something. Effort has suddenly appeared, but we don't see effort. All we see is that score. So here we have a student still doing well. They didn't fail this test or this class. They just didn't get their usual 100%, and their stress level increases. Of course, if mom and dad and the teacher and the kids all make a big deal about it, you are going to be like, uh-oh, I don't ever want to do this again. This is a failure for our students. It's not just a B. If easy equals smart, you're so smart, you're so smart, you're so smart, what happens when things get hard? You are not smart. It is easy to make this assumption that I've always been praised for being smart when things have been easy. Now suddenly things are not easy anymore. And our 100% kid can start to have doubts about this identity that they've built up. For some kids, 12 years of growing up with this identity, I'm not 100% kid anymore. It's always been easy, and we have this crisis. Maybe I was never smart. There's a second possibility. So maybe this kid has not had a dip in achievement. They continue to pull off the 100% all the way through their school career. But at the same time, this effort is increasing and increasing, and it's very uncomfortable for the student. Again, they expect things to be easy. They're still getting 100%, but now effort has increased, and this student can also feel like they are failing because easy and smart go together. The grade doesn't even matter because nobody knows that I'm working now. Like, I have to put effort in, and I didn't used to have to do that. I love this Calvin and Hobbes comic. I think that you should show this to every student that you ever meet. Calvin is talking to Susie Durkins, who is the high achiever of the comic strip. What are you doing, homework? She says, I wasn't sure I understood this chapter, so I reviewed it from my last notes from the last chapter. And now I'm rereading this. Calvin has a total gifted kid reaction, right? You do all that work? Now I understand it. And Calvin's response is something that I think is extremely common with our gifted kids. I used to think you were smart. It doesn't count if you did work to get the 100%. It only counts if it's easy. When I was in high school, my friends and I, our goal was to get like an 89.5% in all our classes, because that would round up to 90%, and then that would be an A-, and the A- counted as a 4 on the GPA. So we could get through high school aiming for 89.5s to avoid doing, we don't want to do any extra work. Why would you do extra work to get 100% when you're still going to get the same GPA in the end? I talked to my ex-students who are now doing all the high school stuff, and they're doing the same thing. They are maximizing GPA using their intelligence for evil. They figure the system out, and the system does not reward work. Our gifted kids don't necessarily value work. In fact, they see it as a sign that you aren't really smart if you have to work. This is from Dimitri Martin. He has a book called This Is a Book. You should show this to every kid that you ever meet. It is so easy to think that success just means getting from point A to point B. Bill Gates was born, and then he started Microsoft and became a billionaire. Just went from A to B. Success is not like this in real life, as all of us adults know. Success is weird looking. Success means having failures, and then, oh, I kind of like this thing even though I failed at it. Maybe I'll get better at this. Oh, I could combine these two things. Maybe I'm going to start a second career now. And now I'm going to go do this. You're wiggling around. Success is not a straight line, but our kids expect it to be. Our gifted kid who was 100% kid starts to worry, maybe I was never smart. The worst thing is they start to think that I've been tricking people. And we call this imposter syndrome. Highly capable people start to think that they aren't really that capable, and they've managed to fool everybody all along. This comes from Caltech. Top college, this becomes a problem as kids go to top colleges. I didn't go to grad school, but I understand that at grad school it gets worse and worse and worse. As you go up the ladders of success, more and more people feel like they don't really belong there. Imposter syndrome is associated with highly achieving, highly successful people who begin to doubt that they're really what everybody thinks they are. I've heard this joke that everybody at Harvard thinks that they're the one person who was the mistake to get into Harvard. So everybody there thinks that they shouldn't be there, and that everybody else is like better than them. If you see somebody constantly diminishing their success, they do a good job, you say, hey, that was great, and they're like, it was okay, or oh, it wasn't that hard, or Jim does that much better than I do. They take the success and they try to reduce the success or kind of bat it away because they don't really think they've earned it. It's okay when someone compliments you to say, thanks, and that's it. Like owning your success can be important. We might see people attribute success to luck. Oh, I had a good breakfast that morning, so, it worked out. Or I fixed it right at the end, and so it was good, but next time it probably won't be good. Successful, highly capable people begin to think that they're building like a house of cards. It's getting more and more unstable, and so it actually gets worse over time where they are more and more afraid that somebody's going to notice, hey, you aren't as great as we all thought you were. And we have our most highly capable people beginning to take fewer and fewer risks. This is what I did after college. I told you in the beginning that I had a degree in computer science, and I went and got a part-time job that did not require a degree in computer science. But I was really good at this part-time job. I was like the best. My mom was also a special ed teacher in the district. I picked the safest route possible where people knew who I was already. I was afraid to have a real job interview because I, looking back, thought that if I sat down with these people interviewing me, they would quickly be like, oh, how did you even get into college? You don't know anything. I was in an honors program in college, and you were supposed to do like a thesis project with a professor. And this was terrifying for me because everybody says in college, go to office hours, get to know your professors. I said, no, I will never go to office hours. I do not want to be there in case I don't know something. To graduate with honors, I had to do this thing with this professor, and I started it, and I went, but it was so stressful for me to be in this conversation with someone, and he would ask me a question, and I wouldn't know the answer. It was not a big deal, but I was not used to this. As a kid, I never worked with the teacher. All the way through school, the teacher never sat down and worked with me. So I was totally unprepared for working with a boss or somebody higher up than me. Think about how often you work with your struggling students, and they get used to that idea of struggling in front of authority. Our gifted kids are often in the corner working on some independent project, and we never really see them working on it until we walk by and say, good job, you're so smart, and then walk away. So I was totally not used to the idea of having somebody watch me make mistakes and working through that. So I gave up, and I did not graduate with honors because I couldn't stand this dynamic. I didn't get to have a medal when I graduated. But this is how honestly scary it was for me. Student teaching was what fixed it for me. I was so terrified of student teaching because this is all student teaching is standing up there and making a bunch of mistakes, and the master teacher's in the back watching you and writing stuff down. That was the first time I had a mentor relationship where I was working with an authority figure, and they were helping me get better. And of course I got better, and when she praised me, it was never, you're so good at teaching, because I wasn't so good at teaching yet. She helped me get better. Her praise was authentic. It wasn't just, good job, good job, good job. When she told me I did something well, I really believed that she knew the struggles that I had had. When I would talk to my sixth graders about this, I would notice that a lot of them give up right when it gets difficult because they're just not used to it. And they think if they go through it, it's going to expose them as not being smart. So we would talk about, how do you get big muscles? And we'd talk about, you go and you lift the weight, and you have to lift the weight 10 times, and the only one that really counts is the last lift, where you're can barely do it, and you have to swing your hips in a funny way to get the weight up. But I would say that is the only one that really matters, because that's the one where you rip your muscle. It gets a little bit damaged. And then it's sore because it's rebuilding itself, and it's going to be a little bit stronger. And then you go do it again, and maybe you have to pick a heavier weight this time to get that same feeling. On that 10th one or 12th one, you damage your muscle, and then it repairs and gets a little bit stronger. And if you keep doing it, you get big and strong, and your muscles are visible for everybody to see. But if you give up right when it starts to get hard, you're never going to have success. And you can't get big muscles if you keep lifting the pink 3-pound little weight. You can lift it 1,000 times, and your body will not respond to it. It has to be just a little bit out of reach. So we would say the same thing is true of our brain. We have to take on challenges that are just a little bit beyond our ability, and that is what's going to make us grow as thinkers. I would tell them we only get stronger when it gets difficult. This relates a lot to mindset. If you haven't read this book, you should totally read it. Very easy read, even though it's written by a PhD. 2 mindsets. We have the fixed mindset. Our gifted kids develop this fixed mindset where they think, I have a maximum ceiling on my ability, and if I get near it, I need to back off and choose easier things, because I don't want to bump my head on the ceiling. They avoid challenges. And on the other hand, we have people who have the growth mindset, where we believe that our abilities can grow, the ceiling can raise, and we get better because of these challenges. So naturally, if you are getting better because of these challenges, you're going to seek out more challenges. Just like people who get really into exercising and running and yoga and all these things, there's a reason that people get addicted to it. I have to go do my yoga. I have to go for a run. Because they've seen the improvements, and they want more improvements. If our gifted kids can see that improvement, of course they're going to want more improvement. I totally had a fixed mindset, and it's something that I have had to work at to change. And you absolutely can change it. But I certainly would have benefited from doing that earlier in my life. This is Mrs. Byrd, my wife. She did not have as much academic success as a kid, but she was somebody who worked with her teachers and was used to the idea of struggling in front of authority and getting better. So naturally, if that's what makes you get better, you will seek out those opportunities to go work with an authority, to go intern, to go talk to your boss and say, hey, what else can I be doing? Stuff that scared the heck out of me. She's in Thailand right now, where she went for like 3 months to start this jewelry company. She doesn't speak Thai. She didn't know anybody over there. And now she has more friends in Thailand than I have in California. Because she would go talk to people and meet people, and all of a sudden she's got factories making jewelry, and she's met other artists, and all this stuff has happened because she took this, what I would say is a social risk, more than an academic risk. She stepped out and made herself uncomfortable. We can encourage our kids to take risks. They don't have to be skydiving. It doesn't have to be take the hardest class in school, because those are things that have real consequences. Safe risks feel risky, but they don't really have a bad consequence. And a lot of these are just social risks. Talk to a new person at recess. Here's a challenge for you today. Go find someone you never met and just go say hi to them. How many of you sat by somebody new and talked with them this morning? It is not natural for us to do that. Congratulations if you did. Sit at a new table at lunch. Don't sit with the same people all the time. Take a social risk. It is super scary to go sit with a group that you don't usually sit with. Everyone's going to notice. I'm sitting with a different group today. I love this one. This scares me. Like, oh no, they don't have the information on their website. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to call them. Why is this so scary? Like, what could possibly happen in this conversation? I was talking to parents last week, and I said, you might do something with your kids where every day you say, what store are we going to call and what are we going to ask them? You don't even need to really need the information. Oh my gosh, what if you went to a restaurant and ordered something that's not on the menu? My wife has done this in my presence, and I wanted to die. It was so terrifying. And you can always start by saying, hey, this is kind of a weird question, but is it possible for you to make, she wanted, like a meat and cheese platter, and they didn't have it on the menu, and I was like, they don't have it. They can't make it. Don't ask. You can always say, what is the worst that's going to happen? Yeah, they might say no. If they say no, they're probably going to say it in a nice way. I mean, their tip depends on us liking them. They're probably not going to be rude or mean. And so guess what happened? We got a meat and cheese plate. They figured out a way to make it. There's no consequence, but it is super scary and risky. But the benefit is we got this food that my wife wanted. Today, go to the very front of a session and sit right there. So there are these risks that we can take where the consequence is very small. It's often a social risk. My wife is successful because she's taken social risks. And I have had to learn to do that also, to call and ask people for things, to talk to people who are higher up than me, because you make connections and then it opens up all these doors. For our kids who are afraid of being exposed as not being smart, they're missing out on tons of opportunities. So early success can actually set our kids up for future problems, future failures. Our gifted students are not smart kids. They think differently. If you want to explain giftedness to a kid, say, you think differently, you think faster, you jump around in your thinking. It's not that you're always smarter than people around you. Our gifted kids are not robots, academic or behavior-wise, and it's dangerous for them to think they should be robots. Our gifted kids have lots of interesting problems, and not all of them are academic. And they have unique personality types that can set up conflict with other people. They tend to have unusual personalities. If they can understand themselves, it opens a lot more doors for them to take those kinds of risks. Our gifted kids will not necessarily just be fine. School might set them up to have a not-so-successful life if we don't intervene. So thank you very much for coming this morning.